Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's bright and early. Daily discipline, mind, body, and soul. This is how we get through every single day. Let's talk about individuality. Let's just philosophize on it a little bit. Individuality is a core value for many people, especially here in America. Individuality is very important to Americans. I think individuality has been important to me. I've felt like an individual and like to express myself as an individual and like to kind of go against the grain. I shy away from the crowd. Always kind of done my own thing, thought my own way, went my own way. And I think most people feel the same way about themselves to some degree or another. Some people are more extreme with their individuality, and it does push them out of society. I've experienced that myself before in the past. We may see people that are just odd and they don't fit in. It's funny how it works, because when you see somebody who doesn't fit in, who's just real odd, real oddball, we get judgmental. Look at that person, and what are they wearing, and what kind of outfit is that? What kind of weird person are they? Maybe they talk funny, maybe they think funny. And we judge the hell out of them for not being like us, for not being similar to the rest of us. You're not playing the game we're playing. We judge them as weird, bad, dangerous, negative judgments. You may take and hold your kid's hand and say, oh no, stay away from that one just because he's a weird looking dude. And it's funny because we judge people for not being similar, when the game that we have acknowledged and stated that we're verbally putting out there for everyone from school age on is be an individual. It's a part of Western thought, Western democracy, individuality. I think that's why communism would have a hard time in America. Many reasons. I could talk about many reasons, but one of the reasons, just philosophically, is that we're individuals. We're not conformists. We have a hard time being forced all into the same box. You may be different from your neighbors. You go to some countries and you'll be just the same as your neighbors. You dress the same, have the same values, have the same religion, same skin color most likely. That's why it's funny to me that a lot of people talk shit about America. Just on a side note, I've traveled extensively, and America is an incredibly diverse nation. One of, I would say the most diverse nation on the planet Earth. You're not going to find a country in Europe, I don't care where you go, you're not going to find a city in Europe, anywhere. Not Vienna, not Berlin, not London, none of them are anywhere near as diverse as the small towns that we have. You take the biggest city in Europe, it's not anywhere near as diverse as some small backwoods town that we have. America is the most diverse place on the planet, period. And it's interesting because there is a level of conformity that seems natural to humans, and always has. There seems to be a level of non-individuality, of giving up, releasing your individuality to go with the crowd in order to survive. And this has been happening for thousands of years. This whole notion of I want to be me, I got to be me. I'm just going to do my thing, think the way I want to think. That's relatively new, and it's regional. I don't know, you guys may be bored with this type of stuff. I think it's interesting. If you look at all of human history, just look at groups, systems of governments. I mean, maybe we had individual tribes and clans 10,000 years ago. But even 10,000 years ago, you get a few tribes that come together and say, yeah, this area of the forest is ours. They create turf, bam, beginning of a fucking city-state right there, and then there's gonna be rules. You know, over on this side of the jungle, we get down like this. And if you don't wanna get down like this, you're gonna have to go on the other side with those nuts over there, with those jerks over there. They live differently over there. They're not like us. This whole us against them thing. That's conformity. Us against them is conformity. How many of you are playing the us against them game? Relinquishing any shred of individuality that you have by joining your group think. Us against them is groupthink. But groupthink is what has helped us survive. This groupthink so bad, oh, you're a sheep, you're a sheep. Humans have been sheep for 10,000 years. Now all of a sudden, in the last tiny little fraction of history, recent history, people have decided, I'm not a sheep, I'm a wolf. I'm a lone wolf. You may feel this way. I'm not laughing at you. I feel this way too. I'm with you. I just think it goes against our nature. This is something new that's going on here. This is brand new, and we're going to have to fight through it. That's why it's so hard. The individuality is hard. Freedom is hard. But freedom is an aspect of individuality. When you think of conformity, you think of giving up your freedom to go along with the crowd. For whatever reasons, for comfort, for nourishment, for love, for safety. You don't want to be out in the wilderness, the whole story of Adam and Eve. You want to be in the Garden of Eden where it's safe and where you're provided for. Everybody seems to. These are all aspects of giving up our individuality. Anytime you're following rules, right? You're giving up your freedom, aren't you? Isn't following rules giving up freedom, or is creating rules an aspect of freedom? How do rules work? Isn't every rule that's ever been created an assault on your better judgment, on your senses, on your individual freedom to just do whatever the fuck you want, whenever you fucking want, however you fucking want? Because wouldn't that be totally free? But nobody really is totally free, are they? Are we really individuals when everybody wears baseball caps and hoodies? You know, it's funny because I remember my days on college campus. And people very often in college campus, they discover who they are. A lot of young people up there. I was about 10 years older than most of the students that were there because I was a returning student. I didn't go to college right out of high school. I went many years later. And many of the young adults that are up there are doing just that, trying to discover themselves, trying to invent themselves, trying to follow a certain brand of individuality and educate themselves, of course, so they can get jobs and become productive members of society. But university isn't just a trade school. It's not just to get a job. This is where a lot of you ignorant people, and you're really down, you shake your fist on university and say, I paid all this money, I didn't get a job. You're not supposed to, it's not there for a job. Go to a trade school. Don't waste your time going to UCLA. If you just want a trade, go to a trade school. Go to LA Trade and Tech or whatever one that you have in your town to get a 2-year degree and bam, get yourself in the workforce. University is to learn, to expand your mind, to evolve, to have a personal evolution, to take yourself from a goddamn caveman, from a monkey, and to turn yourself into a thinker, into a philosopher, into a scientist. And it can be very exciting your first time in college because you have all this knowledge up at your fingertips. And I just remember walking around on campus kind of laughing, thinking, man, everybody here is dressed the same. Everybody is here is a conformist. Everybody here is identical. They're all similar age. They're all similar class bracket, because you have to be. They're all wearing baseball caps and hoodies. Even the women, they have little backpacks on, little sneakers, brand new sneakers. Every single one of them. They all have nice watches and fancy cell phones and pretty much brand new cars with not just a year or two old. This is every single student on campus at UCLA, every single student on campus at USC, every single student on campus at the community college. They're all the same. It's an ocean of conformity, and every single one of them thinks that they're expressing themselves as individuals. Why? Because they have their little playlist. Their notes might be different than the last person's notes. I realized that the tests that I was taking in algebra were the same tests that they were administering the semester before, that the teachers weren't even changing the lesson plan. They were teaching from the same books. So all of a sudden I realized, well, wait a minute. Maybe this place, this whole institution really isn't a place of self-discovery, of becoming an individual. Maybe it's really just a place of conformity. I learned that with the MBA program. I wanted to get an MBA, a Master's in Business, but I realized that they're not trying to teach anybody. There is no MBA program that teaches you how to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurial instincts and being an entrepreneur is a very individual, creative endeavor. You won't find one. Not at Harvard, not at anywhere, not anywhere, not anywhere. There aren't entrepreneurial programs. They're only Fortune 500. That's it. That's what the MBA is. They're teaching you. They have one here in Florida, Rollins College, one of the best business schools around. Go to it if you want to get a good business degree. But all you're going to do is get into the Fortune 500. Get a little cubicle somewhere in a high-rise building. That's what they're trying to get you to do. They're not trying to help you start a business. It's interesting to me that we have whole institutions that people go to and pay for and worship, and they think that they're trying to become individuals. They're going through a personal transformation, when really what they're doing is becoming more and more conformists. And maybe all school is this way from the beginning. It's a way to take little kids who are individuals before they start. Every person that goes into school, there's a popular meme that's been around for years where they show people that are, every single one of them is different, dressed different, different height, different appearance, different thoughts, different worldviews, different cultures, and they're going into a school, just a big building, and then kind of like assembly line, like a factory. They come out the other side, all the same, suits and briefcases, all the same, looking identical. Your genre that you subscribe to. Maybe you're really interested in this particular genre. You're goth. Every goth I've ever met feels like an individual, and being goth is individuality somehow. But I could fill stadiums with goth people. I used to be a band promoter. I promoted an industrial goth band out of many of the bands that I promoted, and we could fill nightclubs full of goth kids, and they all look the same. When you get 500 goth kids in a room, what's the difference? Backpacks and hoodies and baseball caps, or skin tight black outfits and makeup. You guys all look identical. You're all the same. You're all conformists, every one of you. What genre are you? You like gangster rap? Makes you an individual? I can fill stadiums full of people that look like you, think like you, act like you, talk like you. Who do you like? You like Iron Maiden? I've been to Iron Maiden concerts, and there's a stadium full. I remember going to an Iron Maiden show in like 83, 84, and they have this strobe light on as they're banging to the music, and I look around the stadium, because it's a big stadium, 10,000, 20,000 people in there, more, and every single motherfucker there is a similar age. We all had long hair. We're all banging our heads like this. It's a fucking conformity factory. There is no individuality, is there? Is there any real individuality in this world? And if there is, where? Where is it? Where do you find it? How do you know you're an individual? It's all just food for thought.